Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. And again, we have a very special guest tonight, a man who had a lengthy tenure as a principal member of the WWE creative team, did work for Lucha Underground, MLW, but is perhaps best known for the character during the ruthless aggression era of Big Dick Johnson. That would be Mr. Chris DeJoseph. Chris, welcome to the show. But before we get to you and start off all the questions that we have and all the fan feedback, as per custom, I must throw to the man himself, Mr. Cheap Heat, all the way over in Ireland, and that would be Morris Shortall. Morris, welcome again to your own show.
My dude.
2 hours from Cork. Chris, thanks for coming on, man. Really looking forward to this.
Yes.
Look, I suppose let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the very beginning. Okay. Before pro wrestling, what did you do?
Before pro wrestling?
Yeah.
Before pro wrestling, I was a kid. After that, I got into independent wrestling. I ran a promotion called Connecticut Championship Wrestling when I was in my young 20s. And then, my dream was to work for WWE. So when I was 18 years old, I drove my resume to the, there's a gate guy, like a security guard. And I brought him my resume, and I was like, oh, I have an appointment with Vince McMahon. Me and him are supposed to talk, today. He's like, no, you don't. No. I'm like, well, can you give his resume? Can you make my resume go to him? And that never happened. And then eventually, luckily for me, my uncle knew a guy who sold a car, a used car, to one of the lawyers at WWE. And that got me my first interview. And then I got an interview, and I failed two. You had to do three. I failed two of them horrifically. And then I interviewed for this guy, Tommy Carlucci, who you can see him on TV all the time. He was the ringside guy for a long time. But he is the head of international television at WWE, and he originally started as a stock boy, he unloaded the trucks and stuff like that. And he was the first person, because everybody told me when I interviewed there, they're like, you cannot tell them that you love wrestling. You cannot say it. You will not be hired. But I told Tommy, I was like, Tom, I love wrestling. I am in love with it. I love everything about it, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, you know what, kid? You're hired. You're freaking hired. And I don't know. It was that I will always owe probably a lot of my life and my my happiness to Tom, because Tom is him and his family, they're good people. And yeah, he knew. He's like, you're going to be great for this company. You need to love wrestling to work here. And even though the other departments tell you, oh, no, you can't like it. You have to be an ESPN guy or an NBC guy or whatever. He's like, I know that you will work hard because you like it. And I started off cutting I used to edit bumpers for Velocity and Heat. And back in the day, we didn't have computers, so we did it on a reel-to-reel. And I cut all those bumpers for all those shows. And the best part of my job, to be honest with you, was that every day I got to watch Raw 3 times. So, so it was so awesome. And SmackDown eventually. But Raw, I got to watch 3 times because I had to do the American version, the European version, and then the Chinese version, and then 4, sorry, and then the Middle East version, which you couldn't show women and stuff like that on. So I was like, this is the best job I've ever had in my life. Are you kidding? I get to watch Raw 4 times a day. are you kidding me? This is amazing. So yeah, I think that's how it started. And then I got the writer position because they weren't hiring full time in the production department, and I was like making $10 an hour, I think, at that point. And I saw a job for $24,000 a year to be a writer's assistant, and I was like, "Oh my god, I have to have this! Like, this would be the best thing that ever happened to me." So I went to the HR department. I was like, "Hey, I would like to sign up for this job." And they're like, "Well, you're not really qualified. We mostly hire people from Hollywood, and you know, um, it's probably not a good chance." I said, "Well, I'm going to apply." And they said, "Well, you have to write a script, and you have 2 weeks to write a script." So I wrote a script in one night. And it revolved around JBL being killed and and all sorts of stuff. And it eventually ended up on Michael Cole's desk because he worked with me in international because I used to do the Spanish broadcast of SmackDown every night. So when you do the Spanish broadcast of SmackDown, you also have the American broadcast going on at the same time. So Taz and Michael are in the other room, and then I have Hugo and Carlos. And I used to see them, and they used to give me a hard time and like bust my balls. And then Michael read it, and he was like, "Dude, this is really good. Like, this is really cool. Like, we need to give this to like we need to show this to somebody else." So he gave it to Stephanie, and then after that, I got hired, and I got hired on the same day that Ted DiBiase got hired. So I was working there, right? Oh, this is so wow. I was working there, and I still had my job to do, like I still had to cut velocity bumpers, like, oh my God, up next is Johnny Parisi versus Matt Stryker, or whatever crap match it was, and then they told me they're like, oh, you got to go interview with Stephanie. So I literally had to like get up, go into the lobby, which I already worked at the place. It was so weird. I worked at the place, and they're like, you have to sit there and wait for her to call you in. Like, you're gonna sit in the lobby. I'm like, I have work to do. Like, I got a bunch of shit to do. Like, lunch is coming up. Like I don't know. And all of a sudden, Ted DiBiase walks in, and he sits down next to me, and I am like panicking. I am panicking. Like, oh my God, the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase, is sitting right next to me, and he just looks at me and goes, what are you doing here, kid? And I said, I'm interviewing for a job, but I like have another job here still. He's like, well, I am too. Good luck. And I was like, what is happening? And then me and Ted DiBiase interviewed, and we both got hired the same day. Yeah. Then I had to interview with Stephanie after that, and I kept saying to myself, can I say this? Can I say this word? Can I say bad words on this?
You can say anything you want.
Oh, I kept saying to myself, don't look at her tits. Don't look at her tits. Don't look at her tits. And the whole time I was looking at her tits, It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Because like she was like a dream girl to me, But yeah, I eventually I did it. I think she kind of liked that I looked at her tits. In my opinion, I think she liked it.
So we've heard a lot about the dynamics in the writing positions during that time frame. What were you struck by when you first got into that position? Like in the deep end, you were no doubt thrown into the deep end. Were there issues with the collaborative approach or the editing? We've all heard that at the end of the day, what Vince said went. Was that your experience too?
I mean, always what Vince had went, but I think to me, probably the biggest lesson that I learned was from Michael Hayes, and he told me, I think I'm like day 2 or 3, because like I was pitching like Simon Dean storylines, or like oh, I got a Rico storyline, or and he was like, that ain't gonna fucking draw. You know, he's like, what's your stories for Triple H? What's your stories for Undertaker? What's your stories for John Cena? And I think that's where I really learned like how to survive there. Because a lot of people would come in and they would pitch stuff for, I don't mean to say this, but like undercard guys, like losers, you know? And it's great to have that. And I am a firm believer. And if you watch Lucha Underground, you'll understand why I'm a believer in it. I believe that every character should have some kind of importance. And I think that wrestling is better when every character has something. But at the WWE at that time, it was like, how are we going to make money? How are these 4 or 5 guys going to, how's Edge going to make money? How's John Cena going to make money? How's Triple H going to make money? How's The Undertaker? How's Shawn Michaels? And that was it. And I bought into it because I understood, like it's 100% right at the time. Like that was the philosophy. And I think it was a good one. I mean, we paid bills. And that's what it really came down to is like, hey, who's going to pay your paycheck? Simon Dean is not going to pay your paycheck. John Cena is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Does that answer your question or not?
You bet.
Okay.
Chris, was there ever a situation where you made a pitch for something that you thought was really good that was turned down? Or on the flip side, was there something you ever pitched that they said, no, that's too wacky or too controversial?
A million times. I pitched for The Undertaker to have his own show, which eventually became Lucha Underground in a way, right? So I pitched this show for The Undertaker where he was like in a throne, right? And he was like the lord of like this era. And then we took all these other supernatural wrestlers and we had like supernatural storylines and like crazy stuff and stuff like that, which eventually became Lucha Underground. And then like Mil Muertes, you can see him in season 2 of Lucha Underground sitting on the throne, which was really what, it's like what I thought. I just thought like you could take characters, especially special characters, and you could, I don't know, you could build a brand around them. And I felt like The Undertaker was especially like a character you could build a brand around. Like he could have his own world. And I think I had like what's his name now? Mordecai. And I don't think he's Mordecai, but like those kind of characters that would like live in this world, and we could shoot it very cheaply in a closed environment, and it wouldn't cost much, and we could make money off of it because of the star power of The Undertaker. So that was one of the ideas that just got ixnayed immediately, which sucked because I think it was a good idea. I still think it's a good idea.
They later done it kind of, didn't they, with that cinematic match they had years ago?
Yeah,
with
they
AJ.
100% copied it. Yeah. But regardless of that, like I think that like that's a brand that could live forever, right? So why not utilize it and make it live forever and like make him he's not on TV at all. Why not? He's like one of the biggest stars you have. He should be on TV every week in some form or fashion. But you could do that if you had this Undertaker world, in my opinion.
Yep. Out of all the talents that you mentioned and perhaps a few others, did you find that you clicked with one or a couple that you had a particular affinity for writing for? And if so, could you tell the fans?
Yeah, 100%. Like when you're writing for a talent, my process, it's not the same with every writer. My process is like, how do I become Randy Orton? Like when I'm writing it, I'm Randy, if I'm writing it, I'm CM Punk or I'm John Cena. So like I like talk it out. Like you know how like you look in the mirror sometimes, right? And like I don't know if you guys do this, but it might be embarrassing, but sometimes you play a character like in the mirror, and I do that a lot. I'm an actor, so yeah, a lot of times what I did was just like channel those characters, like Edge, you know. I would say Edge as a big one. Like I lived through Edge. Like Vince McMahon asked me after Edge won the championship against John Cena. He said, "What would you do if you were Edge?" And I'll never forget. It was like a Sunday afternoon. It was really nice outside. The rest of my family was going out to go fishing and go on a boat, whole deal. And I was stuck on a conference call. And he said, "What would you do?" I said, "Well, if I was Edge, I would fuck my girlfriend on TV." And that's what happened. That is what happened. And that was like the fourth option, right? But he was like, it's probably what he would do. It's probably what he would do. I'm like, he's the rated R superstar. That's what I would do. You have the hottest girl in wrestling, which I know she opposes to this angle still to this day, but it's fine. Amy's a good friend of mine. But like, what would the character do? He would totally bone his girl on television with the title. And that's what I would do. So yeah, it's like those kind of things. I guess the characters that I related to the most, this is gonna sound really horrible.
Go ahead.
I always got assigned the black characters. So it'd be like Crime Time, MVP. It's like, hey DJ, this is Michael Hayes. DJ, you need to, you should write something nice for Crime Time or MVP. So I did a lot of that. So I became like friends with them, which is kind of weird. Like, why would they do that? Like, what difference does it make? And then I would say, are we talking first run or second run?
Oh, whichever you prefer.
I don't prefer any of them. They sucked both times.
Tell us how you really feel.
First run, I mean, I loved writing for Vicky. I loved writing for Edge, Chavo, like that whole era of like of that like squad. I don't even remember what they were called, but it's like
Spirit Squad.
No, the Spirit Squad was the cheerleaders.
Which squad? Oh, you said squad is in those
individuals. No, like Chavo, Vicky, the Major Brothers. La Familia. Yeah, La Familia. Like I love that. Like I wrote a script for Edge one time in Texas. I think him and Vicky were getting married. I think it was in Texas. I don't know. They were getting married. We literally wrote the script as the show was happening. Wow. So I'm like every segment sitting there typing, giving them like the sheets like 2 seconds before they're out on the stage. And I was panicked. I'm like, they're not going to be able to deliver this. Like, there's no way. But they did. And that, I mean, I think that proves like what a great performer Adam is. But I think it really shows like what a great performer Vicky is, because she's not a performer. She got thrown into this whole thing. And I don't know, she had so much heat. So much heat. Like, what a good girl.
Like amazing. Dominic does.
Yeah, Dominic Heat, right. And he's my favorite wrestler right now, is Dominic. He's my favorite. Him and Jimmy Uso are my two favorites right now, hands down. Like, those guys have heat, and like they have characters that are interesting and fun. So I would say Edge. If I had to name like other wrestlers that I enjoyed writing for, I enjoyed writing for MVP a lot. He was freaking awesome. Like, what a talent. I think like he underachieved where he probably could have overachieved. Um, I loved writing for Tori. I think Tori was like an amazing, amazing performer and a good person. And if we're talking like main event guys, I mean, what? Oh, we'll go to my second run. My second run, Roman was amazing. I mean, I wrote every promo for Roman when I went back there, and he argued a lot about it. I also wrote for like Goldberg and Scott Hall and Nash and all those guys. And they were a little tougher than on me than Roman was. And I think like I don't know, Roman was good, and he knew like he knew how to like change it to like make it feel his way. I think like one of the things he would say to me is like, dude, like this isn't cool. Like we got to make it more cool. And I tried to adapt. Like, I mean, he was obviously a much more cooler dude than I am. You know? I mean, he's a natural cool dude. Like, you see that guy, you're like, oh, you see that guy in the street, you're like, oh man, that guy's got it, you know? But it was the very beginning of, I think, right now, of like what has become the most money-making draw in wrestling in the last 20 years. It's incredible what he's done. Like, I want to watch. I hate wrestling. Okay. I watch every week on Friday. I watch every week on Friday just to see him, just to go like that. Yeah. He's awesome, dude. He's freaking awesome. And a nice gentleman. And then I knew the kids, oh, sorry, the Usos. I knew them like when they were babies, you know? And they were so talented. So freaking talented. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the point where you said about Edge boning Lita on TV, and obviously, so you can take kind of credit for that, I guess. So when did you know that they were going to follow through with that storyline?
I mean, I think it was like what was the date that happened?
Crikey, I can find out.
Yeah, Google it right now.
I will Google it right now and I'll find out. Live sex celebration.
Yes.
Monday Night Raw.
I coined the term.
Live sex celebration. WWE Raw. Dates. Okay. January 9th, 2006.
Okay. Yeah. So I was at my computer, I think on January 8th, in a conference call with Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it came from. I was the fourth option because I was like the low man on the totem pole at that point. So my pitch was not as important as Brian Gewirtz or Ed Koski or anybody else. I was bottom of the barrel. And so they pitched like all their ideas. And Brian, I mean, God, I love Brian. But like Brian was like, hey, we have a fourth option. He's like, DJ pitched that Edge has sex with Lita on camera. And then Vince was like, oh my God, yes, I love it. You know? Yeah. So what's your question about that in particular?
My question was, when did you find out that they were going to roll with it?
The day before.
Just the day before.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how most things happened.
Mm.
That's how most things, at least with Vince, that's how most things happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same way now, but that's how it, I mean, it was literally minutes a day before. And then then we had to rewrite it like multiple times.
Yeah. Are you surprised in any way to see him out of the picture? Obviously a lot's gone on the last year and a half with the allegations, so on and so forth, that have been
See
covered.
Vince
But
out of the picture.
yeah,
I am surprised because I thought he would never go down. I'm not surprised because I've seen the things that he did. So I'm not surprised. I saw a lot of things. Oh gosh. Like you always kind of knew it, you know? Like you didn't really know like what he was doing, but you knew that he was kind of creepy. And I guess in the fact that like you know, like there would be times he would be like, I would be next to him doing a rehearsal for like a segment, and he'd be like, "How do you spell orgasm? How do you spell romantic rendezvous?" Like what? Like really weird stuff. And I'm like, you spell it, you know, ORGASA, whatever the hell. You know, I would spell it for him. But I didn't really like think about it because like I knew Linda and like I don't know. And then I was also there. Oh gosh. I was also there in Florida after the sun tanning thing. You guys know about the sun tanning thing?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was. We had a big writers meeting in Florida, and we're like supposed to plan out the whole year in Florida at his house. He wouldn't let us into his house, right? So we had to sit in the lobby. So we went to the lobby. We sat in the lobby. Then he like brought us into like this like condo room or whatever, you know, like a condo thing. I'm like, he literally could just put us up the elevator. We could go sit at his kitchen table, which is weird because for the most part, like we always like met at his house, at his table, or like kitchen table or whatever, you know. And then I remember like we had like so many plans for WrestleMania. I don't remember the year it was. And then all of a sudden a security guard comes in and he's like, "Hey, the media is outside and the police and they want to talk to you." Vince. And then like the meeting got shut off and then everybody, like all the writers went on their phones or like our computers and we're like, "Oh my God, what's happening? What's happening?" And then we found out about like the tanning salon bit. The meeting was completely cut off. We were all thrown out. We all had to go home. We got halfway through our meeting, and that was it. And we didn't see him for another like 3 days.
Wow.
And I remember Stephanie, like, oh, I think she was red hot. I think Linda was pretty hot too, but yeah.
As in upset?
Hmm?
As in upset, red hot?
Yeah.
What?
I think Stephanie was like really upset.
Understandably. What we've heard a lot about, you know, some of his strange proclivities, which I think have been, you know, further established as beyond mere urban legend now in terms of the recent lawsuit and the allegations. What was it your experience that you would see staff of varying levels and positions being treated in a disparaging manner by Vince?
100%. Especially me.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was a joke to him and to Johnny and Kevin and like the crew. I think I was a joke to them. Like I was good at my job, but I was also like the chunky guy. And they're like, "Oh, how can we have fun with this guy?" You know? So I think that's part of the reason why like the Big Dick Johnson gimmick came to be was because it was like it was funny to them. And I did it because at the point I made $24,000 a year and I was going to get paid $1,000 an episode every time I'm on TV, and I couldn't afford a car payment. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. Not thinking like, oh my God, my family's going to see this, or like people are going to have like, I don't know, bad opinions of it. I never thought of it that way. Like, I don't know. I thought of it like more in like the Jackass way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like Johnny Knoxville or Chris Pontius. Like,
Party boy.
yeah, like that doesn't define them, but it ended up defining me, and it ended up, I think, hurting me a little bit, but also like it helped me a lot. Like, I won't lie. Like, dude, I go for interviews for TV shows that I work on, and people are like, "You're fucking Big Dick Johnson, dude. You're amazing. Like, oh my God, we love you." So it's had that effect too, but I think it was made to be a joke of me, you know. But I was also willing to like do anything I could for the business, because my whole life, that's all I wanted to do, was be involved in professional wrestling in some way and somehow. And then when Triple H and Bruce Pritchard tell you, hey, dude, like, so originally, like, Big Dick Johnson in Rochester, New York was just like, I was going to take my shirt off or whatever. And I was fine with it. And then Triple H and Bruce came to me like, dude, you got to go all the way, man. You got to go all the way. And then Triple H sent out for somebody to go get me like a skivvy underwear, like a thong underwears. And he's like, put these on, dude. If you do this and you spray Vince with oil, like, it's going to be good. So I was like, okay. I thought it was like a one-time deal. DX is coming back. Like, somebody gives him a chicken, says, you love cock. Like, here, let this guy, oh, yeah. And then literally 2 weeks later, I was booked against the Sandman with no wrestling training at all. I think before it happened, Triple H was like, dude, like, let's go meet at Trax. They're going to book this thing. Like, I'm going to teach you whatever I can, like, before. So bless him for doing that. Because if not, like, I don't know, he taught me how to bump. Like, he pretty much gave me like I think over 3 days, he gave me like a real fast trial in like how to handle it. But then, you know, that's one thing. Like, it was great to learn how to like take a flat back or something like that. But like, to get hit with the Singapore cane by the Sandman was a whole nother thing. Like, that shit hurt bad. I was literally bleeding out of my body everywhere. Like, you see like the marks that are on people when they hit you, but you don't see like the tiny like drips of blood that were coming out. And I don't know, it hurt so bad, but like afterwards it felt great, right? Like, I was so excited after it happened. After I fought him, amazing. 2 minutes after, bro, I was like ready to cry in the shower, you know? I'm like, I am hurting bad. But I love Sandman. Like, he was so good to me, and so, you know, he's like, hey, just go for it. Do it. And I had no experience, nothing. I had no idea. And then I got to do it a bunch more times. And it was all a rib.
It was all a rib.
Do you think that?
Sorry, go ahead, Morris.
Just on the Sandman thing, do you think that was like a punishment from someone? And if so, who? Or do you think it was just a case of them having fun or trying to have fun at your expense?
Yeah, I think it was just trying to have fun at my expense. I don't think it was a punishment, because I really hadn't done anything punishable up until that point. I was like struggling to like get along with the wrestlers, right? Because they don't really like you all that much when you're a writer, and you're like, I wasn't even a Hollywood guy. I was just like a regular guy off the street. Like, the other guys were Hollywood guys. I was just, you know, fantasy booker, you know? I had a hard time getting them to trust you, right? And then after that, I was lucky enough. I went on a European tour of Italy, and I was on the babyface bus. So there's two buses. There's the babyface bus and the hill bus. Right? I was on the babyface bus for like the first 2 days, and then I think we went to Venice, and then I had to. I went to the bar with like Batista, Undertaker, the whole group was there. Everybody's there. Everybody's eating dinner, having drinks, whole thing. And then somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, I heard you challenge Chavo to the spoon game." I think it was Fit. I was like, I didn't challenge Chavo at anything. Like, no. And he's like, no. Everybody's saying that you challenged Chavo to the spoon game. I'm like, I don't even know what the spoon game is, so why would I challenge him to that? Like, well, apparently you did. And are you saying that I'm a liar? It's like, no, I'm not saying you're a liar. I never, like, that's the wrestler thing, you know? It's like anything you say, they'll turn it, right? So they're like, oh, you're going to fight Chavo in the spoon game. So I went and I had to play the spoon game with Chavo. Do you guys know what the spoon game is? Nope. Okay, so a lot of times, at least on Wrestling in the Road, and I think Dylan Hornswoggle told me like the truth about it, where it came from, and that he played it. You take a spoon, you put it in your mouth, and then both men are on their hands and their knees, and they're looking at each other. And then on the back of their head, you take the spoon in your mouth like this, and you go, dink, and you hit them on the back of the head, right? But you can't really get any power out of that. And you're also very scared that your teeth are going to break, you know, because you have a metal spoon in your mouth. But what you don't know, after like the first 3 rounds, it's like dink, 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 and then all of a sudden, tap. Oh my gosh, how did you do that? So there's somebody on the outside that hits you with the spoon, like brutally hits you with the spoon. And at about like the 3rd time, then I figured it out. I was like, oh, this is what's happening. And I was like, I refuse. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up at all. The Undertaker is literally sitting in the middle, watching this all. But he's the judge and jury, right? He knows what's happening. I'm like, I'm not giving up. They're gonna have to kill me. They're gonna have to cut my head open. They're gonna fucking kill me. Come on, bring it. And I literally took, I think, 25 hits on the head with a spoon. And for the first time ever, the Undertaker is like, match is over. Like, dude, we're not doing this anymore. And I remember Dylan Hornswoggle and Paul London came up to me and they're like, dude, nobody has ever lasted that long without like quitting or tapping out. Like, bro, you're a legend. Like, that's amazing. I remember the next day. So after that, Batista like texted me to the bar. He's like loving me. He's like giving me beers and all this stuff. I'm like, really freaking great guy, by the way. Really freaking great guy. So the next day I have a little trouble waking up, you know. But Paul London and Spanky come and they come drag me out of bed, right? They're like, dude, we gotta get to Rome or wherever the hell we were going. We gotta get there. Like, come on, bud. Everybody's waiting for you. You're the last one. They like packed my suitcase, literally pulled me out of bed in my underpants, the whole thing. Then so I walk downstairs and I go to get on the babyface bus. And Taker looks at me and he goes, I was like, what do you mean? He's like, and he goes like this. He's like, over there. And so then I went on the heel bus. And then when I walked on the heel bus, everybody cheered for me. And then I rode with the heels for the rest of the trip. And It was so freaking cool. Because I basically had turned heel because I did it, like I survived. And then after that, anything I wrote, anything I talked to the guys with, like they loved me no matter what. Because I think I was like in a way, I became one of them,
Can you talk about the situation in Oklahoma City with Jim Ross and the New Year's baby incident?
Hit my nuts.
Yeah. He seemed to think that you were sent out to do that by
was.
Vince as a straight rib.
Yep, 100%. Oklahoma had just lost to Oregon, or they were going to play Oregon in a game or something like that. So they literally had this is like a whole day rib. Like they had Oregon underwears made for me. Like they knew. Jim did not know, but they knew. Is that a Blue Jays cup?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
OJ.
They knew. They knew what they were doing. And I love Jim, and I think Jim loves me. I think we're really cool. So wait, is it universe? No, the Oregon thing. Are you talking about the Oregon thing or the New Year's thing?
There's the time in Oklahoma City when he made you bleed, and then there was another one when he was beating New Year.
Yeah. So the Oregon thing, he made me bleed. So I got in the ring with them, and I was like, "Oh, Oregon, or whatever." And then this is after the show. Literally, this is not on television, So I'm doing this for the enjoyment of the people in Gorilla. And he hit me on the top of the head with the micro. He even told me before, he's like, "Kid, I'm going to hit you with the mic," So I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'll do whatever. I'll sell whatever you want me to do." He told me in the ring, But he bopped me, and I think the corner of the flag caught me and, literally, bursted me open, bleeding everywhere. But it wasn't because Jim wasn't trying to, be safe or, he told me, he's like, "Kid, here we go. I'm going to bop you." And he did, and he cut me open. And then the New Year's thing, that was another rib where they had me come out in a diaper and, wings or something like that. I don't even know. And then, they're like, "Oh, get on top of the announce table and, shake your junk in front of his face to make him fucking mad." And then Jimmy just punched me right in the, oh my God, he hit me so hard in the balls. So hard that I took a bump off off to the side and just fell flat. But I was literally about to throw up from being hit so hard in the balls. And and I'll never forget afterwards, "Hey kid, I told you, I don't mean no harm by it, but don't shake your dick in front of my face ever again." And I was like, "Okay, whatever you want, Mr. Ross," because I literally respect Jim so much. I love him. I love this man. And the same thing happened with Eric Bischoff, by the way. So I really love WCW a lot. And I was a WCW fan because I lived in Las Vegas growing up, and they ran Las Vegas 4 times a year, which WWE would only come once. So I also used to love watching Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat wrestle for an hour, oh my God, this is incredible. And so then I met Eric when I worked at WWE, and then when I was doing the DX thing with Eric, they're like, "Okay, so you're gonna do this, and then they're gonna stick Eric's face in your ass, right?" So I went to Eric. I'm like, "Dude, this is not my idea. I feel so bad." I'm like, "I don't know if it gives you any consolation, but I'm gonna make sure that my butt is really, really clean, before we do this." And he's like, "Bro, That's the fucking thing you're gonna tell me? No matter what, my face is still going into your butt, dude. But I was like, I promise I'm gonna get like a wipe or something. Like it's gonna be like spotless. I'm doing this to my hero, and I'm literally telling him like, Eric, you're my hero. Like, dude, you're the whole reason that I want to be in this business is because of you. And now this is happening. Oh no! Oh no! Please.
Well, at least you didn't load your underwear with sardines like Mae Young supposedly did when she gave him the Bronco Buster. There you go.
Yeah, I was too stupid to do anything like that.
It's tremendous.
That's great. But like, it seems like we've talked to a lot of people, and then after a while, people seem to be kind of become disposable in WWE, and then they kind of mess with them a little bit. And I know you're friends with Chad Wicks from the Dicks, and he had a terrible time there with bullying and stuff like that. Did you see any other signs of things like that going on, or do you remember what Chad went through there?
I don't specifically know what Chad went through. I know that like the Dicks were awesome to me. I think I produced their first backstage vignette where I wrote "The Dicks are hard to beat" as a jack off joke, I mean, dude, everybody went. It was horrible. Like there was a lot. It was like a fraternity, and I think I don't know, like you tried to survive because your livelihood depended on it. So I don't know specifically what experience Chad went through. I don't. But I can say that I 100% believe that if he went through something like that, that is probably true because I went through things like that. So I feel bad. I never knew that until you said it. I never knew that. So now I feel bad. But yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of things like that was happening. It's political, and it was also it was the law of the jungle, as Vince would say. It's the law of the jungle. Only the strong survive. So, yeah, it was tough a lot of times, but you did what you had to do to survive and make money. Yeah. But gosh, I feel like that's horrible that Chad had to go through that because he's a super talented guy. But
I can fill you in on that after the show.
I'm sure he's not the only one.
Yeah.
Wanted to just skip ahead a little bit, and we'll go back in the timeline a bit. But I noticed when you came back to WWE and then you left months afterwards, you stated, and I'm paraphrasing, so correct me if I get it wrong, but you said that you didn't want to be left to the whims of one individual, and there was a lot of speculation about that tweet. Could you clarify that?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna think about this. I felt like I was put in a very difficult spot. Like it was a good thing for me. At first, when I started, I was getting like $3,000 a month just to go for Friday. That's it, only Friday, or $3,000 a week just to go for Friday. And then they said, "Oh, we should make you a lead writer or whatever." And I was like, well, no, but they made me a good deal. And I was like, okay. But I really didn't want to do it, to be honest with you. I had an interaction. Well, I had multiple interactions with Vince, which me and Vince never really saw eye to eye all the time. But then also, I thought there were people that were employed there at the time that were not to the level that they should be. Specifically, Dana Warrior. I think she was like a courtesy hire. And she had too much power, in my opinion, to like have any opinion at all. Like, it's not like her writing was great or like her producing was great. It wasn't. Like, she was there. But she had quite a bit of power, and I didn't like that at all. So, and I'm not saying like that I didn't support women there, because like there were a lot of women like Jen, who's now in AEW. Like, that is a talented girl. Like, she is a star. There were other girls that were so, but I didn't think that Dana really was a very good star. And I don't know. I felt like kind of disrespected about the whole situation. What did I say in the tweet again?
You said something to the effect that, after several months that you felt that generally it wasn't working out, and you didn't want to be held to the whims of one person, and everybody was speculating, of course, that was Mr. McMahon.
Well, I mean, 100% was like his whims and his ideas, and like a lot of times, I think this is probably why we broke up the first time. Is that he's stuck in his ways, and he's gonna want his way. I didn't agree with a lot of things. I also felt like, I don't know, being at the office at 3:00 in the morning, waiting for the guy to get back from his blowjob or whatever the heck he's doing, is not really respectful to his employees. So that I should have known better.
So were you privy to the sexual impropriety, to say the least, that has surfaced in the lawsuit, etc., involving Mr. McMahon and the female hire, and of course Johnny Ace as well?
I can't say that I specifically know about that specific thing, but I do think that I know about their behavior. I don't know about that specific lady. I don't know that lady, but I know about other people. So yeah, I guess.
Their behavior being with female staffers in general, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody knew.
So it's correct to say that it was more a part of the culture there than they would like to admit.
I mean, I think it was part of the secret culture. You don't ask your writer's assistant how to spell orgasm on a text message. Like, pretty weird stuff. So I don't know. I'm probably going to get sued for this.
You won't.
Well, no, they're allegations at this point in time, and there's a process taking place. But you're just speaking to your experience per se, and that's perfectly protected.
Yeah, I think a lot of the girls were not treated the best, in my opinion. They weren't. And I think, I'm not gonna say it. I think Miss Ashley was like not treated that great, and she deserves better. And I'm so sorry that she's gone.
Yeah, that's come to light a lot in the media lately, and there's a lot of people that were in the business from your time, such as Paul London coming out. Paul London used to be your boyfriend as well, coming out in defense of her and hopefully trying to get justice for her, because that was really kind of swept under the carpet without going into detail.
Hopefully,
did she
Matt
ever
comes
confide
out.
in you?
Hopefully, Matt comes out too.
Matt Hardy.
Yeah. Hopefully he does, because I know. I mean, they're gonna get mad at me for saying this, but like, I know like Lita and Gail and Christy, like, they're advocates for her, and like, I think, I don't know, I don't. Oh man. I don't think it was really fair. And I don't think she was treated very good. She probably made a lot of money, but I think I think there's a lot more that people don't know. Like a lot more.
Yeah. And we've even talked to people from the 80s in the business that know a lot as well that hasn't come out yet. So it's not over yet, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, hopefully, like the truth will come out. You know, whether it's against Vince or not. But hopefully, like, it does come out, because in my experience and the things that I've seen and the things that I perceive, like, it's not a good thing. Yeah.
Having worked there for an extensive period of time cumulatively and during your first run, do you think that the culture there in the company will have to change given the merger into the new entity of TKO and the what appears to be the permanent ouster for Vince McMahon?
I mean, I think it's. I think the company was changing probably decades ago. I think they were going in that direction. I mean, I don't know what happened 2-3 years ago with whatever the situation with like the poop and all that stuff. Like, I don't know, but I mean, I can kind of know a little bit. Like, I kind of know because I was like left in meetings for hours and hours and hours while somebody was gone. But I mean, obviously, it's going to change with TKO. Like, TKO's great, and they got The Rock. Like, it's going to be a straight up brand. Like, UFC is amazing. Dana is great. He was a football coach at my high school when I was a kid. But like, I'm a Vegas boy, so but I think it's going to be great. Like, the business is better than it's ever been in a long time.
Having worked with Triple H, all those. Sorry, I apologize for stepping on you there, but having worked for Triple H all those years with his current role, what do you think that brings for the future?
I mean, I think it brings excellence. He is probably the best person that I could ever imagine being in charge of that company right now. That makes me so happy. He deserves it. He's the smartest person. He's the most creative. And then the fact that he has Sean like on the side, like helping him out, like, dude, they're really good, and they're going to be good for a long time.
A fan is asking, did Dana Warrior wear face paint in the meetings?
She should have.
I'm sorry, that caught me. That was a good one.
Chris, a lot of the time people say that Shane is the most normal of the McMahons. What was your experience working with him over the years?
Absolutely not.
No? Go ahead.
The most normal of the McMahons is Linda.
Okay.
She's the best McMahon, like the nicest person. She would be the one to ask you, "Oh, how's your family? How's your nephew? How's your kid?" Like she, I feel. I mean, maybe she was. I mean, maybe she didn't. But you felt like she legitimately cared about you, and I think she did. I honestly think she did. Next to that would be Stephanie, and then Shane, then Vince. If I had to put them in order.
In terms of your work with Lucha Underground, that was a fresh perspective on the pro wrestling product. Got a lot of critical acclaim, and of course you were a central figure in that. What two-part question for you? What do you consider the highlights creatively of working there? And I wanted to ask you about Conan and his relationship to the company and whether there was in fact friction there as the dirt sheets reported.
Oh boy, here we go. I think first of all, Lucha Underground was probably 100% my creation, along with Chris Roach and Matt Stallman. Like it was our creation. Like the product that they first gave us was so different from the product that you saw on television. Like the thing that they pitched us was total crap, and we pretty much told them this is total fucking crap. I think it was cool because Robert Rodriguez allowed us to just do whatever we wanted to do. Like, I think that like that's what's so cool about like I thought I'm like, oh, when I first signed on, I'm like, oh my god, I got this big movie director who's going to be my boss, right? Like he's going to have a million notes. He's going to do, but Robert was like, I trust you guys. Like, do your thing. Like, do whatever you want. Like, you're an artist just like me, and I would not want like a movie studio telling me what to do. So if you know what to do, then do it. And like, I mean, that was absolutely incredible. Like to feel that empowered by such a big time person, like, I mean, this guy's like directed Quentin Tarantino movies and like, he's got Spy Kids and like, dude, like this is a big time dude. But he was like very cool about that. And I think Mark was kind of the same way, He was like, hey, like, I think Mark thought like, as long as I'm making money, like, do it. Or like, I don't think he was like as creatively involved. I think Mark was like more of like, okay, you're making this for my production company. But I think Robert, like, he read the scripts, every week, read them, and gave like 0 notes. Which I don't know, if you work in television, like especially in Hollywood, like you don't ever get 0 notes. Like you get a lot of notes, and it's usually from some like assistant that doesn't know crap, and he wasn't like that. He was freaking awesome. Like this is this guy's network, and he entrusted us to do it, and that was great. What else do I have to answer?
Just in terms of your creative highlight there and the issues allegedly about Conan.
Conan,
the promotion or company.
Oh, boy. Got to think about how to do this Conan thing the right way. So me and Carlos, we got along at first, but I have been in the business for a long time at that point, and I thought that Carlos was full of shit about a lot of things. I also thought that he had his vision. I had my vision. Fine. But his vision was like 6-man tag matches and, shit you watch on AAA. And that was not my vision. Like my vision was like, how do we tell compelling stories all the time? He's like, oh, we could have like a 6-man or something. I'm like, okay, well, if it makes sense, then we'll have a 6-man, but we're just going to have one for the hell of it. I respect him as a performer. Like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. But then it got to the point where he was poisoning the locker room, and like making like I don't know, like a rebellion against me with like some of the Mexican guys. I don't think all of them were in on it, but they also had to be because
It's Conan.
yeah, it's their livelihood in Mexico, right? So another thing is we found out while doing the show that like we were paying the Mexican wrestlers for the first season through Mexico, through AAA, and they weren't getting paid as much as the American wrestlers. So we like had to put a stop to that because I mean Eric, me, Tony, we were like, dude, that's not like why should Drago be getting paid, $250 because Mexico took, $1,200 from him, or whatever for one match? Like, that's crazy. So we instituted a thing where we paid them directly rather than paid them through Mexico, which I think started a little bit of a revolution amongst those guys, especially with Penn and Phoenix, where those guys got out of their contract and like became bigger stars because like, dude, like those guys were being, I mean, Pentagon was getting paid $250 maybe a match, where like other guys are getting paid $2,000 a match, And I think that he like him in Phoenix, especially like I think that opened the door. And we had to open the door because if we didn't legally, we would have been screwed. And it just wasn't fair. It's like I don't know, Sexy Star is making $150 a week when she's in the main event every freaking night, or Pentagon's in the main event, and they're like, how can you? And that they're also now they're talking to the American wrestlers, so like John Morrison's like, yeah, I'm making $2,000 a night, like yeah, and those guys are like, wait a second, I'm getting $150 from AAA, and they had no idea how much money was getting sent down there, and then they weren't getting anything. And then to get back to the Conan situation, it became really volatile. It got to the point where we had to put a restraining order on him because people's lives are threatened. So he was not allowed to be around. So unfortunately, I wish that didn't happen, but it did. But then again, I didn't threaten anybody's life. Either him or somebody around him did. So that happened like right before the Rey Mysterio vignettes, which was like really crazy because I know Rey and Conan just thought like because he was getting out a little super defensive and then was like, I'll fucking kill you guys type of thing. Crazy. It's wrestling.
Sounds like
who cares?
Yeah.
Who freaking cares? Apparently some people care a lot. Like too much.
I'm gonna jump back a little bit, and I know we're nearing our allotted time here, but do you have any memories of obviously when Chris Benoit and the incident that happened there, and then you guys go into Raw and you write the tribute? Were you involved in the writing process of that show? Obviously, you weren't aware of the circumstances at the time.
I mean, I was aware of the circumstances of the time. The first thing I said was, he's dead. And then everybody else told me, no, he's like Michael A. He ain't dead. I'm like, he didn't fucking show. He's fucking dead. And then I started to get the feeling like maybe like everything's not what it's cracked up to be. But we had to write a show. I was in a vignette that night. It was Vince McMahon's funeral. We were in Corpus Christi. I shot a vignette where I was naked in my thong next to Vince McMahon's casket, crying on it with Michael Hayes. So it's me and Michael, and we're like talking about how much we love Vince. And Michael's like, I love this man so much. Good. Oh my God, Vince, boss, why would you go? And then I'm there, I'm like humping the casket, yeah. So we shoot that vignette, and then like 25 minutes later, after we shoot it, we can get this whole show written about Vince dying. And we find out that Chris is dead, right? Because he didn't show. So like everybody was like, whoa, he didn't show up for his match with Morrison? Like, what the fuck? And then I'll never forget, we all got called to ringside. And Vince got in the ring, and he told everybody that Chris and Nancy were dead. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. Poor Vicky just screamed. She screamed, no, how can, no. And she ran away from ringside. So then we had to like change the whole show. And I had my personal opinions about it, but it was like, I guess following in like the tradition of like, we had just lost Eddie, not probably too long before that. I don't remember, but probably not. Probably not too long. So we're like, oh, we got to do a tribute show. None of the vessel. So we had asked the guys, like, do you want to work? And everybody was like, no, I want to go home. So we're like, oh, what if we just like put on the best of Benoit, So that's what we did. And then halfway through, we found out the truth. But I will tell you this, like, personally, I always thought that guy was kind of a creep, He met my dad in Vancouver. So I went, we went to a show on Vancouver Island, and I brought my dad, and he got to meet him. And my dad's like, man, he's kind of like out of it. Like, he's kind of a weird guy. And yeah, I really think he was. And I don't know if it's CTE or something like that. And I never met him before, but he was just like not 100% there, But he was so respected by everybody that like, they like literally like sucked his dick all day. Like, oh, Benoit, like Vince loved him. Oh, it's the best. But he ended up being the biggest piece of shit ever. It's crazy.
I'm gonna try and lighten the mood. What do you think of John Cena stealing your gimmick at the Oscars last night?
That was the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, why did he do that? And who made him do that? Why would you emasculate the most masculine man in the world? Like, that was kind of, I don't know. That was weird. That was really weird. My girlfriend was like, what is this? What is happening? She's like, I like John.
There's a photo of The Rock shaking his hand backstage after it happened.
Naked?
No, he's got
in a dress
or a robe over him. Yeah, they put a robe over him near the end.
Well, he'll have to redeem himself at WrestleMania, which I think he will. I think he's going to have a big spot.
That's Hollywood for you. But Chris, we've reached the end of this time. You've been very generous, very much appreciated. Where can the fans keep up with you on social media, and what do you have going on that the fans should be aware about? I know you're involved in the entertainment industry still quite heavily, so please enlighten the fans.
I guess on social media, I lost my Twitter account, so I have a new one. The other one got taken over by a fake Elon Musk. So I think it's at Chris Arda Joseph on there. You can follow me on Insta. I don't have too many followers on there. I don't really post too much crap or anything like that. I don't care all that much. As far as the future goes, you should watch out because something's coming, and I hope it changes the game again.
Any hints?
Huh?
Any hints to what that could be?
Wrestling.
Noted. So what we'll do is we'll get you back on when that project is set to launch, and we'll have a conversation about it.
Well, hopefully it does. We don't know. It might not. You never know. Okay. But you never. It could be big.
We'll follow and keep up to date with your comings and goings. But I want to thank you again for being a part of this fine edition of the Cheap Heat Productions Pro Wrestling Podcast. Very much appreciated. And again, we'll stay in touch and keep watching for that potential big drop.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
God bless Canada. God bless Ireland. We love you.
Thank you very much.
That's where we come from. Okay.
Right back at you. Okay, fans. Well, that's it for this edition of the Cheap Heat Productions Pro Wrestling Podcast. Once again, thanks to our guest, Chris, and we will see you next time.